Can one guy be? I kissed her and she kissed me. Like the fella once said, ain't that a kick in the head? The room was completely black. I hugged her and she hugged back. Like the sailor said, quote, ain't that a hole in a boat? My head keeps spinning. I go to sleep and keep grinning. If this is just the beginning.
Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be a sobering one. We're going to celebrate the life of Erin Valenti and most importantly, her prophetic and brutal truth, her final words spoken to her mother at 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time from Almaden, San Jose in Santa Clara County. She said the words to her mother, which was 1 a.m. Rochester, New York time. It's all a game. It's a thought experiment. We're in the matrix. Shall I repeat? She says to her mother at age 33, it's all a game. It's a thought experiment. We're in the matrix. Click, which is hard to believe that the cell phone, which was charging on her Nissan Murano premium package 2020 SUV could possibly run out of juice, right? So somebody clicked off the phone, probably Erin's murderer. She was murdered shortly after those words were spoken. All right, we're going to examine those words because they're the most important words spoken in my life, okay, in my entire life. Those are the most important words. Those are much more important than Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, okay, which pales in comparison to the words of Erin Valenti, who last met with Dean Jacobson of Harvard University with an MBA from Stanford at 1 o'clock, pardon me, 1:30 p.m. Monday, October 7th, 2019, that very same day that she spoke those words, those profound words. She met with Dean in his office at 2500 Sand Hill Road, Menlo Park, directly across the street from Stanford University and the linear accelerator for the Department of Energy, directly across the street from where Erin parked her Nissan Murano rental car, which apparently the rental company couldn't locate that car for 5 days. In fact, they never did find the car. It was found by a dog walker. Anyway, she met with Dino on his second floor office at 1:30, and that meeting wrapped up 90 minutes later at 3 p.m., whereupon Erin could not find her car, even though she's clicking the button on her key and there was no chirping sounds to be heard. So someone had disabled the navigation system and electronics on that Nissan Murano whilst she met with Dean Jacobson, an alumni of Harvard and Stanford universities. The evening before, Sunday, would be October 6th, 2019, she had dinner with J.J. Cardwell, who was an undergraduate from Stanford University with an MBA from Harvard, sort of the inverse of Dean Jacobson. So they sort of tag teamed her, didn't they? They had a MBA from Harvard take her to dinner on Sunday night. Then they had an MBA from Stanford basically say goodbye to her after lunch at 3 p.m. Whereupon Erin went missing for 7 hours when she made that phone call to her mother at 10 p.m., which is 7 hours after she left Dean Jacobson's office. It's all a game. It's a thought experiment. We're in the matrix. Okay, so what does it all mean? Let's take them one at a time. Let's take her first part of her poem. It's all a game. Okay, what is Erin telling us? What can we interpret? Well, juxtaposition is going to interpret Erin Valenti because no one has done more videos on Erin Valenti than me. I'm the world record holder for a murder that no one cares about. least of all Silicon Valley and Swiss Bank Authority, which would include Excel KKR, which was the last place Erin was seen alive, was at a private banker founded by Jerome Kohlberg of New Rochelle, New York, way back in the 1970s. And isn't it ironic that Erin Valenti was last seen alive at a private bank that works for Switzerland? All right. So all a game refers to simulation, right? That's what games are. Games are like drills. The Army, Army, Navy, and Marines, they do drills. They do simulations. Bike racers do practice races. Broadway theater stage actors, they do rehearsals, right? That's what we do. In television and film, they do takes because maybe you don't get it right on the first take. So you have to sit there and redo the scene multiple times, however long it takes to please the director. So simulation, right? It's an exercise, like going to the gym and working out. You're building your skills in a simulation. Today we have children playing video games on their cell phones continuously, like they're addicted to it. That's a form of simulation, right? That's what Facebook is. When Facebook was first presented, and some of my friends joined, I called it face crack, like crack cocaine, right? Because it's addictive. Do you know that this is a prisoner dilemma game? Do you know that? Do you know what a prisoner dilemma is? If you haven't been booked into the jail or been convicted and sentenced to state prison or federal prison or to a camp, like one of the camps you might find at Vandenberg Air Force Base slash Space Force Base or Nellis, which I believe they've closed the camp at Nellis down. But they have low security prisons for non dangerous criminals who are convicted of white collar crimes. They go to a camp. It's still virtually impossible to escape because you've got to cross long distances and you'll be picked up, and it's sort of a hopeless case, right? Like Alcatraz or Alligator Alcatraz. I got an airplane right over my head right now. Anyway, it's all a game refers to the point that Erin is making, that our lives are part of a simulation and that the bankers in Switzerland who work through straw dogs throughout the world in the form of branch banking. For example, a branch bank would be considered Bank of America, Chase, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Bain Capital, McKinsey Consulting, Boston Consulting, Accenture Consulting. Another example would be Kleiner Perkins, Sequoia Capital, Excel KKR, Jim Breyer Capital, Ben Horowitz and Mark Andreessen Capital, Lorraine Powell Jobs Foundations, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Um, what else you got there? The various endowment funds for Harvard University and University of California in the billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of endowments. Those are Swiss banks. That's right. Harvard University is a Swiss bank. So is Yale and so is Princeton. So is MIT. So is Cal Berkeley. They're Swiss banks. You wouldn't think so, right? What's the Mormon LDS Church? It's a Swiss bank. What's the Catholic Church? It's a Swiss bank. Why is the Pope guarded by 113 Swiss Grenadine guards? Because it's a Swiss branch bank. That's why. The Bank of Vatican. Why do they have an obelisk in the center of St. Peter's Square? Because it's a Swiss bank. That's why. It's a colony of Switzerland, just like San Francisco is, just like Sacramento, which his legal name is New Helvetia, which means New Switzerland. That's who discovered gold in California. Basel, Switzerland's resident, Johann Sutter. You know him as John Sutter. All right. All right. So what Aaron is telling us is your life is fake. I mean, you may be real and your children may be real, but everything they encounter every day is part of a game, a simulation, a sim, psyops. In other words, it's part real and it's part fake. Today, over at Facebook, which has been renamed Meta, Meta means death in Hebrew, they call everything a combination of either AR or VR. AR is augmented reality, which is partially legit and partially fake. And then VR is virtual reality, where 100% of everything you experience is like putting the meta goggles on, and it's completely 100% simulated fake. Fake, 100%. But AR, augmented reality, means partially real, partially fake. Pretty much requires you leave your home and you walk around your secured hamlet and you encounter dog walkers or NATO soldiers in the form of your local sheriff or metropolitan police. Those are NATO troops. You can tell they're NATO troops. You know how? Look at their weapons. They have flak jackets, pepper spray, stun guns, electronic stun guns. They have 9mm pistols, either Glock or Berettas. They have an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle in the trunk of their car. They have radio and drone and helicopter support. Well, so do NATO soldiers. So that must mean your sheriff is a NATO soldier, right? They have fusion centers, which spy on your text messaging and your emails, your SMS, right? Your electronic communications are being read and spied on by the AI and fed back to keyboard commando at the fusion center within 10 miles of your hamlet or your home within your hamlet neighborhood. A hamlet is like your neighborhood, all right? And township is a series of hamlets put together. Like My Lai was one of three different hamlets that the Charlie Company entered, at around 7 a.m. in the morning to go murder 504 people in three different hamlets. We only know about My Lai, but there are two other hamlets that are lesser known. If you do the research, you'll get the names. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is it's all a game, all right? And Hollywood has helped us. Hollywood, through our entire lives, has produced films and television shows and fake books. The publishing industry, which is an arm of Hollywood, it's propaganda, balderdash, and mendacity. Mendacities are falsehoods that are written down and printed up into magazines and books. All right, that's the publishing industry. It also includes newspapers. But radio, television, and today Netflix and podcasting has grown into the media presentation party, which is part of It's All a Game. 99% of everything you see in the alt media podcast space is fake. Okay, let me give you some specific examples of what Erin Valenti meant when she meant it's all a game. Tucker Carlson, Stu Peters, anyone who promotes Stu Peters or Maria Z or Dr. Jane Rubenstein, who's not a medical doctor but wears a white coat, Yeti, and has a stethoscope, despite that she has zero hands-on medical treatment of patients. She's a pseudo nurse, but she spends all her time on Zionist television in Israel. So she is most definitely not a medical doctor that should be giving any advice to you, right? But she's got a podcast and she's got an audience. Anyone who engages in people like Glenn Greenwald, Whitney Webb, um, all the guests that appear with Stupid or Peters, all the guests that are booked on to Maria Z are the same guests that appear on Joe Rogan and the revolving door of the Alex Jones InfoWars show. You can tell they're fake when they share the same guests, Peter Thiel or KJ, who are fake. Peter Thiel is 100% fake. He has no software engineering experience. He didn't take any degrees in that. He's English literature and history major at Stanford. He did graduate and he has a degree. Unlike Larry Ellison and Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, who do not. They have no degrees whatsoever. But I'm telling you, Peter Thiel's degree is in poetry, not in big data mining. He doesn't know anything about it. And Larry Ellison doesn't know anything about database management either or storage. All right. What I should tell you is that Anderson Cooper, Rachel Madcow, Megan Kelly, James Woods, all the Hollywood actors, all of the television actors that you see that have Screen Actors Guild cards, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like Jesse Ventura, like Al Franken, like Ronald Reagan, are fake. They're professionally fake. Now, Hollywood is presented to us films that are mostly very authentic films. Films like Justice for All with Al Pacino, which taught you that our justice system is 100% corrupt and the judges are corrupt. That's truthful. That's absolutely 100% true. Anybody who thinks you're going to sue the EPA or the FDA or the CDC or the President of the United States or anyone's going to sue the Department of Justice for not prosecuting criminals. I mean, you're delusional, okay? You might as well pledge allegiance to your 13 striped Swiss flag. If you vote, if you celebrate the 4th of July, go to parades, you're a nut. You've lost your marbles. You might as well get off my show immediately because my show will pop your pea brain. Serpico was another movie that Al Pacino did to illustrate that the New York Police Department was 100% corrupt, right? Does that apply to Chicago? Does that apply to San Francisco? Does that apply to Los Angeles? Hell yeah, yeah, it does. Whatever goes on in Manhattan, New York, or the five boroughs, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island, Brooklyn, whatever goes on there goes on in your strategic hamlet too, because it's part of NATO. All right. So anyway, we learned, although no one's paying attention, that our court system, which is maritime law, is fully corrupt. We learned that our law enforcement police, metropolitan, are corrupt. And you can extend that to the sheriff. If you don't believe me, just look at the state of Kentucky. My God, what a disgrace the state of Kentucky is. But whatever goes on in Kentucky goes on in New York and California and Texas too. All right. So the Truman Show, right, with Jim Carrey. The Truman Show was a situation where the only person who didn't know what was going on was Mr. Truman. But they had a director, a screenwriter, producers, and his wife, and all of his fake friends were actors. Then Jim Carrey did Dumb or Dumber, right? But I'm living in a neighborhood of dumberer. I'm living in dumberer neighborhood. All right, but that was a movie about how stupid people can be. And COVID proved it. COVID proved that people are dumber than a box of rocks. Okay, Burn After Reading. That's a movie that tells us that there is way too many people in our economy that are employed in the intelligence community, and that it's spy versus spy. They trip over each other. They're running around in circles, burning energy as a pacification and control of themselves, and that they're basically really stupid. In other words, the people featured in Dumb and Dumber could have been managing directors at the CIA. That's how dumb the CIA is. The CIA is super stupid. Okay. Then we had Jack Nicholson in Chinatown, and we had 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford and Cliff Robertson and John Jacques Houseman. That told us that the CIA is corrupt, although it certainly is a centralized power group. There are no rogue elements operating within the CIA, only that the CIA likes to run in circles a lot. All right, and Chinatown is about stealing water under the guise of other reasons than publicly stated and incorporating cities into rural areas so that you don't have to pay for the infrastructure. In other words, politics is corrupt. That was the main message of Chinatown, that every aspect of Los Angeles was corrupt. Chinatown was corrupt, the mayor's office was corrupt, the governor of California was corrupt, the county of Los Angeles, the sheriff's department was corrupt. Well, that's 100% accurate. That's true. And it always has been corrupt since the conquistador Spanish rolled in here with their Red Cross sails. Lord of War with Nicolas Cage, right? That told you that arms dealers and terrorist brokers can operate independently internationally throughout the world and be exempt from arrest and prosecution. Typically, they could be arrested or picked up, but they will never be prosecuted or arraigned or convicted in a court of law, not in a maritime law. Brainstorm with Christopher Walken and again, Cliff Robertson and Natalie Wood, who was murdered during the filming of Brainstorm, is about computer to brain interface. We have that today. We have computer to brain interface today. And they brought you that movie in 1981. And in 2026, we have fully deployed computer to brain interface. All right. The Swiss conspiracy. I don't know how more overt you can be. They even used a Swiss flag to promote it. David Janssen, not his real name, David Meyer Janssen. He starred in the Swiss conspiracy. The International with Clive Owen and Naomi Watts. It's a movie about private banking in the current genre, the current situation we're in. So those are all Hollywood examples of what Erin Valenti meant when she said it's all a game. Let's move on to her second phrase. It's a thought experiment. Now, what did she mean? She means it's mind control, it's cognitive warfare, it's net centric warfare. It's to create a brainstorm of multiple chaotic and emotionally gaslit situations. So that sound like today, right? You got Charlie Kirk, you got Donald Trump. Every day he's going to destroy and disseminate some country. You got Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, the clown show that is the Senate, and the clown show that is the House of Representatives, the clown show that is the Supreme Court of the United States. What a disgrace that is. Ever since we had Earl Warren, we had disgraceful behavior with the clowns that wear the satanic black robes. All right. Well, anyway, you should know that the military refers to it as net-centric warfare and cognitive warfare. Well, we have that. It's fully deployed. It's been fully deployed my entire life, but it's really deployed in a ubiquitous, inescapable manner today because today we have the Terra Swarm. Terra Swarm is the smart dust, MIMS and MIMOs, mesogens, operated by MOSA and SOSA. And if you're a paid member of my channel, you know exactly what those acronyms mean. And if you don't, I'm not going to tell you. You got to be a paid member. I'm tired of giving away free, valuable information. All right, mind control today can be affected by one of three ways. Magnetic resonance, which is called Havana syndrome. The media calls it COVID. Another is your ring cameras, your neighbor's ring cameras, and the smart meters on your house or on the sidewalk. Those emit sound based sub-millimeter wave radiation. Okay, got it? Your wireless router in your house, that also can operate both by sound and magnetic resonance. All right, and you have a smart TV, you got a smart phone, you got a smart refrigerator, you have appliances, you have LED lights in your home, you have LED lights in the street lights across the street from your home. LED lights work on photonics and optogenetics. So we have sound and light and magnetic resonance. Those are the three weapon systems that are fully deployed in most neighborhoods throughout the entire world. That's what I mean when I'm explaining it's a thought experiment, because using that system of weaponry, they can put thoughts into your brain or they can clog your brain with chaos messaging like Charlie Kirk, like the Pacific Palisades fake fire event. It's a real fire that took out less than 10% of the homes, but if you watched it, it appeared that all of Los Angeles was going to burn down. Poppycock. And there'd be no hotel rooms for the Olympic Games for Smart LA 2028. No, nothing changed. It had no effect whatsoever on anything other than the minds of the people who watch television and watch James Woods and Megyn Kelly lie right to your face. James Wood was crying that his home burned down. Yes, his home did not burn down. He lied. He lied like a rat. All right. So anyway, it's called chaos, and the military intelligence have programs for chaos. It's part of monarch mind control, right? Like what you do to a child with satanic ritual abuse, what you do to an adult is Project Chaos. You also have Project Sea Spray, which we have today, and we had it in the 50s, and we have it in the 2000s, which is we dump aluminum, lithium, arsenic poison from the sky every 10 minutes, 16 hours a day, everywhere, all over the whole world. Paris, Milan, Florence, London, Manhattan, New York, San Francisco, San Jose, and of course, Sonoma, not to mention Chicago and Dallas, Texas is a mess. Go Google Dealey Plaza where John Kennedy was murdered by the obelisk. The obelisk is at the corner of Main and Houston Street. And then turn the cursor upward at the sky and tell me what you see. It is a soup kitchen of aluminum chalk. All right, the final phrase in the Erin Valenti final last words was, "We're in the Matrix." And what she's referring to by Matrix is you're in a strategic hamlet with a secured perimeter. You're in a prison. You're in your county jail. You're in a state penitentiary or a federal penitentiary. You are in a secured area. You're being mapped and tracked and traced. You're in a maze. You're lost. You are restricted. Your travel is restricted. Your roads are totally surveilled. You're in a laboratory. You're in a smart city. With all this surveillance, you have no privacy. You're in a Hunger Game. You're in a gilded cage if you have a really nice home with a steel iron gate and you have big 40-foot hedgerows, or maybe you live in Atherton or Saratoga, or maybe you live in Pacific Heights or Belvedere, perhaps. Maybe you live in Holmby Hills, Pacific Palisades, Bel Air, or Benedict Canyon, and you have a gate and you're on a cul-de-sac, so you think you're safe, but you're actually locked up in a gilded cage with a landscaper and housekeeping and a butler. Or maybe you live underground in a bunker, right? Maybe you're in a dome, an underground facility for commanders. All right. So what I wanted to tell you is that Erin Valente made these very declarative words known to her mother at 10 p.m. at night on October 7th, 2019. Her mother was listening to this on her anniversary at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Rochester, New York, and she probably didn't process all this information that I just told you. All right. But that's why you're a paid member of the Juxtaposition channel, because I condense the esoteric and complicated. And anyone who cannot handle esoteric content, is repulsed from my channel. If you can't handle gematria, numerology, cipher codes, which by the way, that's how you get into secured area is through multiple cipher codes. We're going to biometrics, which means palm print, eyeball recognition, right? We're going to eyeball recognition, real ID verified. So then you won't have to think anymore. Once we throw away all of the secret coding, then it's just you're a cow on a farm, right? That's what a cow is. They got the ear tag. Well, that's what they're doing to you with the COVID vaccine, bird flu, monkeypox, Omicron variant of COVID, your flu shot, any injection that your local hemp doctor wants to give you is going to be full of the nanobots. The nanobots are going to tether you to the cloud, turn you into a walking hard drive human antenna, and give you a stronger signal than you already have. Everybody has a signal already. Your body area network throws out a trackable signal onto the radar system that we have fully deployed already with satellites, drones, jets, street lights, LED street lights, smart meters, ring cameras, and the wireless routers that you have in your home. Your entire movements within your home, your bedroom, your kitchen, your living room, your den, your basement, your attic, that they can trace and track you throughout your home, which means they can send a terahertz bullet to your brain or to your heart and give you a manic episode, or like they did with Erin Valente, killed by manic episode. Took 4 months to come up with that poppycock explanation of cause of death. Or you died of rat poisoning in the way that they attributed Betsy Arakawa, age 65. She died of rodent dropping toxicity. Or you died like how Marilyn Monroe died, barbiturate toxicity, acute barbiturate toxicity. Pick your poison. Or maybe you died like Martha Nolan, undetermined, but you're dead. All right, that's it. It's all a game. It's a thought experiment. We're in the matrix, meaning that we all are in an experiment. Now, you don't have to believe me. You can be in denial. Like a river in North Africa that rolls through Cairo, is that you can think that we live in a democratic republic and that you're free to choose. You're delusional and you're wrong. And just because you don't believe me doesn't make you right. Okay? But I'm right, and I know I'm right, and I have the courage of my convictions, and I got 3,000 videos that I created. What do you got? What have you got, you lazy dog? All right, you a lazy dog. If you're not out there talking about human augmentation, you're a retard. Okay, that's the single most important topic. So get out of the retard facility and start talking about what's really going on in your neighborhood. Human augmentation, CRISPR therapeutics, radiation poisoning, Havana syndrome, and there's no such thing as COVID. COVID was a complete hoax for stupid people. So if you fell for the COVID hoax, it means you got a lot of work to do because you are really at the bottom of the barrel in terms of intelligence. Take care now. You like and share my videos. I am heavily shadow banned. Bye now.